It's not a very nice day today. We're still getting rain showers, but at least it's not the heavy rain that we've been getting for the last few days and the 30-mile-an-hour plus winds. Showers come and go, get a little drizzle between them whenever they quit. I've been coming up here and working on these pilings a little bit to wire brush the rust off of them so we can get them painted. Doesn't look like the forecast is that good. Actually, it looks like it's supposed to start snowing. They say there's no accumulation, but I plowed a lot of no accumulation last year. So anyway, I've got these two brushed down so we can put the core seal on them. We don't have to get them down to bright metal, we just have to get the loose rust off of them and the pockets kind of cleaned out and stuff like that. And then the core seal actually bonds better to it if there's just a little light rust on there than it does if it's bare metal. Now we got to wash those down with some paint thinner and then we can put the core seal on them. Anyway, it's starting to rain again, so I'll put this camera away and go find something else to do. We got another little break between rain showers. I've got core seal. There it is. It's kind of a dirty, milky color as the chemical. And once it goes on and cures, it sets up in this kind of a blue-black color. I've decided that the only place I really need to put it on right now is on the pads where it's going to get covered up with wood on the timber when I put that beam back in place. And we could always do the rest of it later. We got a little break in the weather, and these two pilings are all ready for it. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting it. I washed it down already with paint thinner. Alright, well, I kind of slathered that stuff on there, but I'm not painting an airplane or a show car or even the Mona Lisa. Some is good, more is better. The places where it was bare steel or it was kind of rusty steel, they turned black almost immediately. Places where the steel was clean, where it was run down to bright metal, that stuff might not turn black at all, but it'll be coated over a little bit. Places where there were pits and stuff in that pads, they turn black immediately. The places where there was paint on there, it's probably not going to do anything, but it doesn't really matter because that paint is pretty doggone good paint. And of course the piling there, I got all of the loose rust and stuff off of it, and those are doing pretty good. They're still showing a little bit white, but they've already started to turn black. So it takes 24 hours for that stuff to cure. Hopefully it'll be set up enough here before it starts raining again that it'll be hard enough and it won't wash off, because that's water soluble until it dries. Once it dries, then you can't hardly burn the stuff off. Anyway, those two are done. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is probably take the wire wheel down there and clean that plate off on that other piling. It's not raining here right now. I'll clean it up and I'll go ahead and coat it, and then I can always do the rest of it later. It's starting to get dark, so I won't have a whole lot of time to work on it now. I got that piling pad wire brushed. I wire brushed the pad down around it and around the weld and stuff, and then down about 1.5 feet or so, just what I could reach, and down to the top of the ladder. And then I washed it down with some paint thinner, so now I gotta wait for the paint thinner to flash off and I can get that one painted. It's almost dark, sunset here in any time now, I guess. Anyway, it hasn't rained now for almost an hour. Clouds have lifted up. I can see up on the mountain. Snow level is down on the mountain quite a bit. But the clouds have lifted and they're breaking up. I can actually see blue sky in a few spots, so maybe it'll stay dry long enough for that core seal to set up. I no more got that piling painted, that pad painted, and the first 1.5 feet of it or so painted with the core seal. The tools and stuff picked up and put away. Then it started raining. I'd walk down to the cabin, to the hangar, to check on the progress of a project my son was working on, and I noticed it was starting to drizzle just a little bit. So I came huffing back up here, and by the time I got up here, there were a few big drops coming down. I didn't want to cover those things up any sooner than I had to, because I wanted them to cure out before I did. I was afraid that anything that covered them up with would stick to them and wind up peeling the coating off, but there was no choice. Just a few drops of rain that had hit on those had already started dissolving the paint on there, even the ones that had been painted a little over an hour before. I'd been using some, 30-gallon garbage bags, and covered them back up, as that was the least of the bad choices Well, it rained pretty heavy all night long. That would have washed the paint right off of those. In the middle of the night or early this morning, it quit raining, and now the clouds have lifted way up. Not forecast to rain until early this afternoon or late this afternoon, but it froze. It was a little frosty out here this morning. Anyway, I came out and pulled those bags off of there, and even this one here that was wet when I put the bag on it turned out okay. There's a little bit of thin spots up there on where some of those drops were, and it kind of puddled out, but I'll be able to put some more on those. As soon as it warms up a little bit, as soon as they dry out, and they'll be fine. Those should cure enough then today that I can go ahead and put that timber on there. That didn't work out quite the way I'd hoped. I came out here just after daylight, took those bags off of there because it was clear out here, not clear, but at least it wasn't raining, the high ceiling and stuff. And I went in the house and was doing a few other things while I was waiting for that stuff to cure up, expecting to come out here this morning and start working on that again. Well, it started raining. The forecast wasn't for it to start raining or raining and snowing until after 3 o'clock. Which would have put it about dark or late this afternoon, just before dark. I figured I had all day to work on this, but started raining now. I went ahead and put the plastic bags back over it. It's not the ideal way to cure that stuff, but I don't see any other option. This weather's just supposed to be crappy for the next few days. It's supposed to get cold. Maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow tonight. Not ready for that, but that's the way it is. Anyhow, not much to do on that today. That's not going to go the way it planned or hoped anyway.
You want smoker, you see in there? Oh, you see in there?
Yeah, well, find something else to do. I'm sorry for using such complicated technical terms, but this sucks. It's been an hour since I covered up those pads on those pilings to protect that core seal on there, and it's been raining pretty steady since then. And a little bit ago it started snowing. Now it let off a little bit now and it's just raining again, but that doesn't portend for very good things. I'm not ready for the snow, not mentally nor physically. So I guess I better get stuff together and get ready for it because it's coming. Anyway, I got the Bobcat going. I've got the forks on the Bobcat. I've got a few things to move around, to shuffle around here to get ready for plowing snow. It's supposed to get kind of chilly down into the 20s. I don't know, I got to get ready for that. Put the bucket on and get ready for plowing snow, I guess. Oh, it's not going to be too good here because the ground's not frozen up hard or anything. I just brought 5 or 6 loads of crushed rock in here on the driveway this summer and got it packed in. I don't want to be pushing it off over the bank already. We got the first snow overnight. Got a little less than an inch of snow maybe. The ground was warm and wet, so a lot of it melted. It wasn't steady snow, it was mixed rain and snow. It would snow a little while and then it'd quit and rain, and then it'd start snowing again with mixed rain and snow. Started about 7 o'clock last night here. Well, anyway, it built up a little bit, not too much, not enough to worry about plowing. I spent the day yesterday getting things ready for plowing snow. I had a bunch of stuff I needed to move around. I had all those slabs from milling up that hemlock, and I got it out of the driveway, went and put it up where it's out of the way. And I had that hemlock stacked over there where the Bobcat is parked right now, the stuff that I'd milled up. I moved it over here. I'd had those timbers for the porch project stacked up there. I moved those out of the way so we could get in there and put that piling in. I'd set those over there on top of this pile of yellow cedar here that we milled up for the deck boards and stuff for the porch. I had it stacked up on there, but when I picked it up, I just picked it up from one side, backed up, turned around and stuck it over there. And when I did, it changed the orientation. Well, it didn't change the orientation, but the orientation of the tin on top of there that protecting that stuff from the water changed. So we've got some long pieces on there, and then we got some short pieces overlapping on those. And it's sloped away from us right now downhill, but when I picked that up and turned it around, set it on that other pile, then it was sloped the other direction. So the water was running down the big tin and then hitting the overlap of the small tin and running right down in on the board. So anyway, I moved it over here and stacked it up on top of that hemlock. So the orientation of the metal roofing is the right direction so that it doesn't run water in there, so the water sheds off of that. But like I said, it snowed last night into early this morning. I was up until almost 5 o'clock this morning, and it was still snowing. And then sometime after that, it quit and it cleared off and froze. And it froze pretty good. So we had a coating of wet snow, and then it froze. So the highway was pretty slippery. My wife and son come across an accident on the highway about 1.5 miles from here. It was a single car accident. The vehicle went in a deep ditch and it was inverted there next to the Falls Creek Bridge. And, when they got there, they didn't need to do anything. The EMTs, ambulance, and fire department was already there, so they didn't have to do anything with it. Anyway, the road was pretty slippery this morning. It's starting to melt now, but this kind of stuff can be pretty dangerous like this when you just get a little wet snow and then it freezes. I'd been working on these pilings. I'd put Coriseal on them, hoping that they'd get a chance to cure before it started raining. Well, of course, as soon as I got done putting the Coriseal on there, it started raining. So I came out this morning and pulled the plastic bags off there. Again, that has ice and stuff on top of everything, so it's warming up now, so maybe it'll cure. And it was kind of blotchy, so I put some more Coriseal in a can and put another coat on that. Hopefully it'll get a chance to set up before it starts snowing and raining again. The forecast is for more snow tonight and then warm up and rain and then get cold and snow and ad infinitum. Maybe I can make a tent or a cover over those or something to protect them, keep the rain off of them and keep the air to them so they get a better chance to set up. Well, anyway, it's not raining today, so I can get a chance to do that hopefully. Well, we don't have much to work with as far as daylight this time of the year, and it's only going to get worse. Today was the best day we've had for a while, but this time of the year the sun doesn't even come up above the tops of those trees over there. It's 2:45 now, and the sun's already gone down below the trees and even below the hillsides. Official sunset's probably about 3:45 today. We'll have twilight a little bit today anyway because we've got clear skies or nearly clear skies, but doesn't give us much working time. I came out here this morning and started working on those pilings. Took the covers off of them and stuff, trying to get them to dry out a little bit, and I put another coat of Coriseal on them. But there just wasn't any heat in the sun here and not a whole lot of time to dry them out. And of course the sun doesn't even hit on this side of the house. Summertime it'll hit here early in the morning and then it'll be shady over here, and then the sun will hit again in the afternoon. But this time of the year it's not going to even get any sunshine on this side of the house at all. I don't want to put those plastic bags back on there, so I left those out in the open as long as I could today, and I just came out here trying to figure out a way to protect those from the rain without covering them up with plastic again. This is what I come up with. I've got some blocks there, they're about 1 foot long. Those are spacers that come out of the guardrail on the highway. They're creosoted timbers, and I stacked those up on one side of the pilings, on these two pilings on this side, and then just run a piece of roofing steel between that and that timber, and that should protect those things from any rain or any snow or anything like that, and still leave them open enough to the air that they can get air around them and hopefully get cured. That's going to be a slow process with this temperature, but it's the best I can do for now. That one is so tall that I couldn't really do much with it. I tried to figure out something. I took one of those 2x4s and set the step ladder up against the piling and put the 2x4 down between the rungs of the step ladder, but that really wasn't going to work. So I got a longer piece of roofing steel and I just set on the top of that angle and run it over to the beam. And that one got a little bit more air to dry out a little more. It's still not cured, but it's a little better than these two. Another beautiful day in paradise. Nice day yesterday. It never did warm up much. Froze pretty good yesterday afternoon and evening. It warmed up a little bit sometime in the middle of the night or early morning, and it snowed. We got another 1.5 inches of snow on top of the 1/2 inch or so that we had from the day before. Now it's raining. Forecast is for it to rain today and tonight and then turn to snow early morning or sometime, and we got rain and snow and rain, and we don't really know what's going on here. Probably snow. They said there's another cold event coming in and lots of moisture coming in. Oh, I shouldn't complain about it, considering what's going on every place else, and looking at the weather and seeing the rain and stuff they got down in western Washington on the coast there. I don't know how far down it goes, but I know Bellingham and some of those northern coastal areas of Washington have got a lot of rain and wind, and they're flooding. And they got pictures there on YouTube I see from the news of them picking people out of their cars in the middle of a river, the Coast Guard helicopters, and guys running around in boats. Of course, a lot of that problem is the fact that it's been dry down there for the last 15 years or so, and people start building down there in those river valleys and river bottoms and forget that they flood when they get water coming down them. But anyway, they got a lot more trouble down there than we got up here. This is not so bad. I can live with this. We got those pilings there, got those painted. It's been 2 days now, and they're still soft. They're not going to dry out with this cold weather, this cold, damp weather. They're not going to cure anytime soon. Can't put that timber back, that beam back on there until those things dry out enough. So we're on standby on that project, but I've been working on the shop and the hangar, trying to get those straightened out a little bit. I've got to get the hangar straightened out. We've been, of course, a mess in there. That's just natural. We've hauled a lot of stuff in there. I've got a whole bunch of parts and stuff for the pickup. I wanted to work on it this fall, but I wanted to wait until I was done flying because I still have the fuel tank half full of avgas in the back of the pickup, and I was hoping I'd get a chance to do some more flying this fall. Wanted to do some more personal flights. We did the one flight where we went and picked cranberries, but I wanted to do some more. Wanted to maybe go out, set up a camp and go moose hunting or deer hunting and take the family out, and there's some people I wanted to take for rides and stuff like that. And then the game biologist here wanted to do a couple of surveys, mountain goat surveys and some other stuff, and we thought we could do those, but the weather has just been too bad all fall to even think about going flying. So it's getting time now where you got to think about bringing that airplane home. I've got a new engine on order for it, and I should be getting a notification here pretty soon that that's getting ready to be delivered. And once they send it, then I've only got a few weeks to get the old engine off the airplane and put in the crate and sent back to them. Anyway, I still got stuff to do on the pickup. I've got to do my semi-annual maintenance on there, doing the oil change and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to get the hangar cleaned out enough I can get it in there. And probably not going to get all the work done that I wanted to do on it, at least this fall. I guess it's winter now, obviously. So anyway, I keep puttering around with that kind of stuff, and eventually this paint will cure enough here on these pilings that we can put that beam back on there, and don't hold out much hope for most of the construction stuff outside right now. Well, another day, another dollar. Well, another day anyway. Oh, yesterday was kind of a nasty day in a way. It was spitting snow a little bit and rain a little bit and cold. I was working on a project in the shop, needed a bolt, a metric bolt in the length that I didn't have, so I had to run to town yesterday afternoon and pick up a couple bolts. Sunset around here now is somewhere between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. I went to town about 2:30 and it was already darky. I used my headlights on the pickup because it was dusky, and by the time I got to town and got back home, it was 3 o'clock. It was dark. The clouds were so thick. Weather out here wasn't near as bad as it was in town. There was actually snow sticking to the ground in town. And early yesterday evening or late yesterday afternoon, it started warming up. It warmed up to about 35, 36 degrees and started raining. And we had intermittent periods of pretty heavy rain all night long. So it melted off most of the snow around here now. The driveway is pretty much, well, it's all clear as snow except places where it piled up a little bit. Oh, I'm looking at this piling again here. I just went up there to check those to see how they're doing, and I went up there and touched it, and it's still soft. It still moves when I move my finger across it, but it doesn't stick to my finger anymore. So hopefully that stuff will cure, but it's not cured enough yet to work with. It's not ready to stick that beam on there yet, so we'll let it sit for a little while longer. And it's not raining right now, but I'm sure there'll be another rainstorm coming. That's the way this country is. If it's not raining, it will be. Well, it poured down rain all day yesterday, and it warmed up to about 36 to 38 degrees. Washed most of the snow off, melted most of the snow that we'd had off. well, almost all of it, other than the back roads when we went up in the mountains last night to run the dogs. That roads were bare up there. Unfortunately, in the middle of the night last night or early this morning, it cooled off again and started snowing. It didn't really stick. We were getting kind of little snowballs and kind of little showers and stuff. And a while ago, it started snowing pretty heavy, and it looked like a blizzard out here. And that has started sticking a little bit. Of course, even though that early snow was melting on the ground, it was pulling the heat out of it. Now I think it's raining a little bit. Forecast is for snow. It's supposed to get cold again for the weekend and until next week, and then it's supposed to warm up a little bit. We'll see how that goes. It's not fit to work outside for me. So I've been keeping track of these pilings here and the paint on those pilings. Well, I checked them yesterday and they were a little bit soft still, but didn't smear. I mean, it would smear, but it wouldn't stick to my fingers. Went up and checked it today, and that's fairly well hardened up on the piling itself. It needs another coat on there, but what's on there is fairly well hardened up. It's still a little soft up there on the flat part on the top, the pad where the timber is going to sit. You can just pick it up just a little bit with the finger. That's just going to take time. It's just too cold and wet here for that paint to cure. So we're continuing working down in the hangar and the shop. I got fire going in the shop again today. Get to working on some stuff there in the hangar. Well, I got a project there that I started on. We'll go check that out.